What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to my countdown for the best characters from Dynasty Warriors 4. If you haven't seen any of the videos from Dynasty Warriors 3 or my previous ones regarding the worst characters, I put these characters in the same situation with the exact same 3 items, the attack boost, defense boost, and the wind scroll, and see how they do in a pressure situation, how they feel, how easy it is to use them, and they will be ranked by an average score based on 6 different categories that I've created for this list. Your thoughts on who the best character from Dynasty Warriors 4 may differ from mine, but these are my results and how I felt about each character. And with that being said, let's go ahead and talk about a couple honorable mentions, and then we'll jump into the top 10. Starting off at number 12, this character has the exact same score as the character that was in quote-unquote 13th place. But coming in with the first honorable mention, we've got the Splendid Ma Chao. He had an overall average of 8.75 out of 10. And the worst thing about the character is definitely his kit. He's an extremely fast character when it comes to his attack speed, but in crowds, his C3, his C4, and his C5 is pretty much useless. Like, I wouldn't recommend it at all. But for dueling, which I gave him a 9.5, he is very, very deadly. C3 is great if you hit it. C5 is good. One of the best 1v1 characters, can abuse enemies very easily, and he does really, really well. No point for using his C4. His C6 is good. He's got AoE too, but you know, I'm only able to get it off about 50% of the time in that pressure kind of crowd. So that's why his kit rating is the lowest for me, because I feel like some of his charge attacks aren't really, you don't really need it. And if I had a separate column for horseback riding skills, you already know Ma Chao would be at the top, because him on top of the shadow harness, you're getting through you can just sweep every stage just by doing that. Coming in at number 11, we've got a character who got an 8.83 out of 10 average score, and that's going to be the long-bearded man himself, Mr. Guan Yu. And to my surprise, he actually got through the quote-unquote trials. His Muso is really good, super reliable. His AoE is really good. He's got a decent kit for dueling. His range is insane. It makes it easier to clip officers. His C6 is really good, but it's too slow to get there. And his attack and movement speed is decently okay. Muso definitely, along with the AoE capabilities, the best parts of Guan Yu. Pretty straightforward character. I think most people have an easy time picking up playing with him, even on some of the harder levels. Clearing through that trial was surprising to see, and that's why he almost made the top 10. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and jump into the top 10 best characters in my opinion from Dynasty Warriors 4. Let me know what your thoughts about my list are down below, and let's go ahead and jump into it. Alright, coming in at number 10, we got an iconic character with an iconic weapon that he hasn't had in so long. We all miss it, but in this game he had it, and it was enough to push him up into the top 10. 8.92 rating out of 10, and that's going to be Mr. Sun Ce.
Oh, you want to fight? No problem.
So at first, I got cooked pretty hard with some. I was getting my ass beat. It might have been a skill issue because he's got a very, very good kit. His AoE is pretty good. His C3, C4, C6, and Muso are all good. They have great AoE to do damage to enemies in close proximity. And his normal string is really, really reliable. He's got a very beat down kind of feeling. Decent scores across the board for him, and I felt pretty safe using him. I think most people would have an easy time using him. He's got a solid kit. None of his moves really go to waste except for maybe his C5 and his C1. His Muso is a good mix of pinpoint damage and AoE, which means it's great for dueling and it's great for crowds as well. And he's absolutely fast enough to get away when landing from a Muso. Very fast character, very solid, and a lot of fun to use. And that's why he's here at number 10 for me. All right, next up coming in at number 10, we got a hero on the list coming in at number 9, having the exact same score as Mr. Sun Ce. But looking at both characters, I think this character is a little bit more safer when it comes to his ease of use and some of the things that he was able to do. And that's going to be Mr. Cao Cao.
Chaos can be a powerful ally.
So Cao Cao for me, I just feel like he's a little bit more comfortable. His range is a little bit higher because he has a sword, but he's very fast. And I talked about it in my worst videos, but he's got this attack speed. You're fast enough to feel safe in dangerous areas. Like, he's sweeping. His AoE capabilities, I only gave him an 8.5, but that's only because he doesn't have a lot of AoE moves. But he's not too bad at all. And he's got this snapping kind of feel with his sword that feels like it increases his attack speed. So he's a very, very safe character. The Muso that he uses to clear out the end, I mean, giant AoE, very good to use. His dueling is very good as well. His C3 and his C6 are decent, but they're not something that I would genuinely go towards, because sometimes you can get offline, especially the C6. You can really get offline with that, get stuck in a way, and get clipped pretty easily. But I think the speed of the character helps out a lot, and then just the feeling of how easy it is to get through people with Cao Cao is what puts him here at number 9 for me. Next up, coming in at number 8, we've got hands down one of the best C3 characters in the game, and that's going to be the Barbarian Wei Yan.
Liu Bei, new master.
Like I said, his C3 is just absolutely better. I mean, you're not getting any better than that except for one other character, but his C3 is abusable. It was the only thing I really needed from him. It absolutely shreds, and the only thing is the enemies hitting behind you. But my god, it is absolutely one of the most shredation type of moves from Dynasty Warriors 4. Dueling is easy because the C3 knocks them off balance instead of knocking them down, which allows you to get up and do more damage to them. So I gave his dueling a 10 out of 10 because it's just so easy to just take advantage of. C3 out the wazoo. His Muso is really great, gave him a 9 out of 10. AoE is out the wazoo with most of his attacks. That's why I gave him another 10 on his AoE capabilities, because his Muso is designed for AoE. You're not going to get the best pinpoint damage, but it's a great move. C4 is solid for AoE, C6 is great for AoE, C5 is okay, but again, with the C3, you don't really need anything else. Attack speed is slightly above average, movement speed is average as well, but again, the C3 that he has, the spinning Tasmanian Devil move that he does is what carries Wei Yan. He is absolutely deadly with that move alone, and that's why he basically made my list here at number 8. All right, next up coming in at number 7, we've got the benevolent man himself, Mr. Liu Bei.
Let us fight to restore order.
Liu Bei coming in with a 9.17 rating out of 10. He's got some pretty decent numbers across the board here. He's fast enough to use his normal string and his C6 regularly without interruption, which is crazy. His movement is fast enough to slip away from people after an attack or a Muso, which gets rid of any vulnerability that you might have with the character. His C3 is okay, it's a basic sword movement, it's great for duels, but his C6 has great AoE, and for me, when I was doing the trial with him, I could just consistently get there, which is feeling really nice. He had a similar feeling to Yuan Shao in Dynasty Warriors 3. Dynasty Warriors 3, I was getting Yuan Shao C6 a lot. For Liu Bei's, in this pressure testing thing that I did at Yiling, I was getting it constantly. I was constantly getting the C6, so it was nice to see that I can rely on that. C5 is great for duels, and the Muso is absolutely destructive. The 3 big slashes at the end are very, very good, reaching most or pushing blocking enemies away, giving you a chance to get away, and his damage for 1v1 is good as well. And that's pretty much why he's here at number 7. I think Liu Bei is one of the most safe and best characters to use from Dynasty Warriors 4. Alright, next up coming in at number 6. This is personally one of the best characters in my opinion, and you know, I rated him as objectively as I could, but he's one of my favorites to use because he just feels so deadly in this game. Coming in at number 6, we've got the Boatmaster himself, Mr. Huang Gai.
I am Huang Gai. Come forth.
I'm telling you guys, Huang Gai with the Shadow Rod is a different man. That's a big boy. He's one of the best characters in my opinion. He is so easy to beat people down with. His normal string and C6 are absolutely goated in the game. And I seem to be able to pull off the C6 relatively easily, just like with Liu Bei. His Muso is a great counter, and if you want to rush down an opponent who's hurt, but his normal string, just like with Wei Yan, his normal string is what carries giant, brutalizing swings, and it's just so easy to beat down whoever's in front of you, crowds, duels, whatever it is. Beat the trial with him relatively easily. See, C3 is decent for a 1v1. I think the kicking motion can get kind of weird sometimes though. You can get offline. His movement speed isn't too crazy, but his attack speed just complements the brutality of the weapon so well. Like, you can run, have people catch up to you, turn and hit them, because his swings with the rod is so fast that people don't even know what hit. It's just so crazy. Gave him a 10 out of 10 of ease of use. I think most people can pick him up and use him really, really well. And then for his AoE capabilities, I also gave him a 10 out of 10 because with just the swings alone, the C6 and the Muso as well, he's doing tons and tons of damage. C4 is good as well, but I don't really need to use it. I don't want to knock them away. I want them to stay close to me so I can do consistent damage to them. That's how good, to me, Huang Gai is in this game. Him and the Shadow Rod absolutely rocking people, and that's why he's here at number 6 for me. Alright, starting off our top 5. Alright, the next 3 numbers all have the exact same rating, so the order is based on who I feel is the most deadliest or feels the safest, or I guess I'll explain my reasons when we get to it. Coming in at number 5, we have one of the newest additions from Dynasty Warriors 4, and that's going to be Yue Ying.
I shall prove my might to you.
Yue Ying in this game is super freaking good. 9.42 rating out of 10, and that's going to be the same for the next 2 as well. Her AoE is absolutely outstanding. 9.5 out of her capabilities. Her C6 is absolutely destructive, and comboing it into her Muso is so freaking powerful. Her Muso is AoE destructive and it's so good. C3 is great for duels, extremely powerful. If you're in a 1v1 and you're using a C3 where she like sticks it out and she doesn't move at all, but she's got like this quick like movement with the little dagger axe where it's doing like 3 rounds of damage. It's crazy. And then she does like a little spin at the end. Absolutely insane. You can absolutely shred anybody in a 1v1. You get around them and you can break them down. You do the C3, you're going to kill them. C4 and C5 is great, but you don't need them. C1, you can actually abuse her C1 as well. It's actually one of the strongest in my opinion. Probably the second strongest C1 in the game. If you watch the weapon video, you know who I'm talking about. But Yue Ying, she is so well rounded. Her speed is great. I think her kit is amazing. Her ease of use, I think, is great. I think the only thing you might run into a problem with her is that if you're just not used to her style yet. But once you get used to her style, you're going to absolutely shred with her. You're going to take every character down so easily. Yue Ying is 100% one of the best characters in the game, and she tied with 2 other people, and the only reason I brought her down is because the other 2 are just more monstrous in my opinion, at least from the little test that I ran. And with that being said, let's go ahead and talk about them. Alright, next up coming in at number 4, similar scores to Yue Ying, resulting in the exact same overall score, we have Mr. Zhou Tai.
Undisciplined.
This guy is kind of the definition of shredding, because Zhou Tai is one of the shreddiest characters all around in the game. His attack speed is really fast, especially his C3. His C3 is a shred and a half. You can get offline with it and be a little vulnerable, you know, that's why his kit rating is only a 9 for me, because he does have some vulnerabilities with his moves, but he is just so deadly. His Muso is a safe, shredding monstrosity of damage. Absolutely insane. And there's not too many caveats in his kit except for his C5 and his C6, because I'm not gonna, like, his C6 is good because it does like a little extra damage, I think, if you hold it down or something like that. Or maybe that's Dynasty Warriors 5 they start doing that. But his C5 and C6, they're okay. You know, they're not something that I'm gonna rely on. Along with his movement speed being a little bit above average, but in duels, you're gonna shred with him. You can clear a crowd with his C3, his Muso, or just his normal string. I mean, he's swiping across the screen with that katana. Absolutely destructive character. Muso, dueling, he got 2 10 out of 10s for that because he's an absolute monster. Zhou Tai was one of the best characters in Dynasty Warriors 4, hands down, and he probably is gonna be continuing forward. We'll see how he feels in Dynasty Warriors 5. And then coming up at number 3, the exact same score as the previous 2, 9.42 out of 10 for this character. We've got the Eye Patch Man, Xiahou Dun.
I am Xiahou Dun. Come if you want to die.
Xiahou Dun has a similar feeling to Huang Gai. He's got that brutalizing movement and feel with his Podao. Absolute destructive character. I had no fear swinging into a crowd and like doing damage. Like, I absolutely cleared the trial with no problem. I think he cleared it the fastest, to be honest. No, I think number 2 cleared it the fastest. Anyway, Xiahou Dun, his AoE on his normal string is great. Gave him a 10 out of 10 on his Muso and the ease of use. Anybody, you guys can pick up Xiahou Dun and play the hardest level right now and be fine. His normal string is very, very good. His Muso is so safe, and it's actually so easy to manipulate to get behind people who are blocking in front of you. You can guide your character because he's taking steps forward. You just go to the left or go to the right, go to the side, and knock them down with that. It's very, very strong. His C6 isn't great, but his whole kit is overall really, really nice. Big sweeping moves. His C3 is great as well. He's just a brutalizing type of character that's easy to use and abuse enemies. Absolutely cleared the trial again with no fear. So he easily felt like one of the best characters to use in this game. Just absolutely destructive. His movement speed is a little below average, but everything else makes up for it. You don't really need to worry about running away too much because he has everything that he needs in order to defend or to feel good. Like, it's just such, he's good. Go move on to number 2. And coming in at number 2, it was shocking to see how deadly this character was. And you know, I almost considered putting him at number 1 because of how I was looking at the little intricacies of what was better in my opinion, but I couldn't because, you know, we gotta give respect around here. Coming in at number 2 for me, the king of AoE in my opinion, is Xu Huang.
My name is Xu Huang. Do not forget it.
Giving him a 10 out of 10 on both AoE and Muso. He has an absolute deadly kit. His C3 is so goated. It's actually a mini version of his Muso, which absolutely clears enemies out the way. Like, you don't need anything else. His C3 is a mini version of his Muso. I mean, I shredded through the trial so easily because he was so overpowering. He felt very good in this game. I mean, he absolutely clears with his Muso if you need to. His normal string is great as well. His C4 is good, it's not needed. His C5 is fine, not needed. C6 is good, but again, it's not needed. His attack speed is also pretty fast for the weapon that he uses, a giant axe, and he's swinging it around faster than some of the like sword users. I'm like, god damn. And then again, his Muso is just so easy to combo with. I mean, you can C3 and then Muso right after it. You're going to do so much easy damage. The absolute destruction that I had with Xu Huang was surprising to feel. I almost put him at number 1 because it felt so much more smoother. And I feel like his Muso, which I did rate higher than the number 1 character, I just feel like his Muso's better. But we can't take away from the iconicness of number 1. If you haven't guessed it already, let's go ahead and talk about him. Coming in at number 1 with an average of 9.58, or overall of 9.58 over 10, we've got the demon himself, Mr. Lu Bu.
You dare face the mighty Lu Bu?
I almost put Xu Huang over him. I think I had 3 10 out of 10s for Xu Huang originally, and he was going to be above Lu Bu, but I couldn't do it. His Muso is way better. Xu Huang's Muso is way better than Lu Bu's in my opinion, because only in Lu Bu's true Muso do you get the AoE slam. And I feel like the spinning isn't as easily comboable. Does that make sense? Like, you can't combo with it as easy, and you can't get around as easy because he's kind of in this weird cone movement, if that makes any sense. But other than that, AoE capability is definitely a 10 out of 10. Ease of use, you guys can pick up Lu Bu and destroy people. Yeah, 10 out of 10, easy. His C3 is the best in the game. There is nothing more deadly than Lu Bu C3 in this game. I tried to use a C6 as well just to see how I could feel with it. Could I overpower them? And I think with the hubrisness of me playing Lu Bu, it led to me probably getting a little bit more clipped than you normally would if you're just looking to go through people. You really only need his C3 and his normal string. I mean, that's really all you need for this character. He's absolutely insane. C4 and C5 are very fast movement. Attack speed has that snapping feeling that I talked about with Cao Cao, where it just feels, it's increased. Like, he's like moving, like when he swings his weapon, he moves at like 1.5x speed, especially when he's going through like his C3 movements. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it's just very snappy, very fast attacks. AoE out the wazoo. His true Muso is so good with the AoE finish like I talked about, but because his regular Muso doesn't have it, takes away a little bit. I know they give it to him in Dynasty Warriors 5. He's absolutely one of the best characters from Dynasty Warriors 4, and in this list he's going to top it for me, but Xu Huang made a very good case for number 1 in my opinion, but at the end of the day I had to put Lu Bu up at number 1. Anyway guys, that's all I have for the video here. Hope you all enjoyed it. Did I miss anyone? Let me know down below. If you want to see the full rankings of the Dynasty Warriors 4 ranking characters, I ranked them all in a separate video. You guys can go ahead and check that out, but that's all I have for the video guys. Hope you all enjoyed it, and I will see you all in the next one.